Hey guys, Dr. Kyle Loveless here, and so thanks so much for watching today. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, if you've never met us before, my wife and I have two clinics in the Charlotte area, wellness clinics named Queen City Health Center, and today I'm going to be talking about, and really throughout these videos that we shoot, is ultimately about teaching you what health is, how your body's made to work, and big picture, understanding that everything you do with your health isn't about just getting rid of symptoms, but giving your body what it needs so you can perform at a high level. Removing interference from your body's ability to heal is the key. Today's topic is a topic that's actually is a really important one right now, because our immune systems are super low because of the health, the foods we eat, the environment we're in, the amount of antibiotic use that we have, vaccines, all these things loaded together really are killing our immune systems over time. And so we're seeing a really huge influx of patients that are dealing with a lot of issues with yeast infections, obviously specifically women, but on men it's going to be things, you're going to see candida overgrowth, other yeast issues. Ultimately, when there's an growth of yeast, it's an issue with the microbiome most of the time, an issue with the microbiome within your digestive system and within the body. And one thing to understand about our bodies is our bodies are actually more microbiome, meaning more bacteria, viruses, and fungus than it is human cells. So we actually have an 85% of our immune system is made up of the digestive system, or the bacteria and good healthy viruses and fungus in our gut, which actually helps our immune system. So having a good microbiome is the key to longevity and health. It's also the key to having a strong immune system, which allows, or which keeps away things like yeast infections, candida overgrowth. You're going to see like eczemas, psoriasis, different things like that, fungal overgrowths, when you don't have a good microbiome in your gut. And the reason this happens, just to start out and be really clear, this directly is proportionate to the amount of antibiotic use that we have in our world. And I want to be very clear, it's not just, this is a big one, it is, prescribed antibiotics that we're taking for issues growing up, but it's not just the prescribed antibiotics. Within our food chain, we have tons of antibiotics. First of all, it's from antibiotics being pumped into the animals that we eat. Then you got glyphosates, which are Monsanto, who just got sued for $289 million or whatever, $1 million. It just got sued because it causes cancer. But glyphosate is one of the strongest antibiotics in the world. It's actually they used to call it a herbicide or pesticide, but it's really an antibiotic classification wise. And so that's a big deal. Glyphosates actually come from the original concept, which is like a lowered down concept of Agent Orange, right? Which was used in the Vietnam War. This cleared out, killed everything so that we could go in and see their soldiers and all that stuff, war stuff. But the point, and obviously major issues. I was just reading a story yesterday about how Agent Orange and all these crazy mutations that they have over there in Vietnam because of it. So really this company, Monsanto, has really taken over the food industry, soy, our wheat products, pretty much anything with soy, wheat, or corn in it, and is going to be packed with glyphosates. And so our kids and our bodies are being filled with this food that has tons of antibiotics all over it, and it kills our microbiome. So that's the darkness. I don't want to spend too much time cursing the darkness, but it is something you need to know, that the food you put in your body is huge when it comes to a good, healthy microbiome. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 things you can do to help. If you're someone out there who's dealing with chronic yeast infections, actually I got a message from a friend back in my own hometown of Friendswood, Texas, that had messaged me saying my daughter's dealing with some yeast infection issues and wanted to know if we had any extra advice. And she was working with a great doc over there. They've given her great advice. But I'm just going to add some things to that. And hopefully everyone will benefit from this. I know this is a big deal, and it's something that a lot of women are dealing with because of low immune systems. So let's dive into it, not to get too wordy on everything else. Okay, so number one thing to help get rid of a chronic yeast infection issue. And when I say chronic, what I mean is you have it, it goes away. You just keep getting them, right? You take an antibiotic and it goes away, take an antibiotic, and it's just constantly this infection. And so ultimately, yeast overgrowth happens when your microbiome is out of whack. And what I mean is, so think of it this way. So bacteria have antiviral and antifungal effects. Fungus have antibacterial and antiviral effects. Viruses have antibacterial and antifungal effects. They live in symbiosis together in a good level. Now, when we take an antibiotic, we kill the bacteria. So in return, you're going to have a huge influx or takeover of fungus, which is why we'll have like a a candida overgrowth within the gut, and candida is actually something natural in our gut that's a good thing, but when it takes over, that's when we see all kinds of health issues. So number one thing you can start doing is start healing the gut. So I'm just going to put gut healing foods, okay, or a gut healing diet. One example of there's two gut healing diets I'm going to really just quickly recommend. There's a lot of different protocols out there, but these are two that I think are really good. Number one is something called the body ecology diet. Okay, and you can Google this. I can't remember the person's name that created this. It's like Donna Gates, I think is her name, but a body ecology diet, and you can look that up. There's a book about it, but there's a whole eating plan online, and it shows you how do you start to rebuild the microbiome in your body. So the body ecology diet is a really good one. Another really good one, it's a newer one, is the plant paradox. And I really like this one because it gets rid of, and I think the body ecology diet does too, the plant paradox isn't necessary just for building a new microbiome in the gut, but it gets rid of the foods that are really hard to digest on our digestive system when you're dealing with a gut issue in the first place, okay? And I talk a lot about gut issues with yeast infections because it stems back from really the microbiome in the body and the strength of the microbiome. So plant paradox is really good. It gets rid of foods like that might seem to be healthy, like let's say tomatoes, for example. They have lectin in there, and lectin is a natural pesticide within a plant. So it's a defense mechanism, but in our bodies, super hard to digest. I would say that's harder even than something like gluten, okay? So lectin, you're gonna see a lot of lectin-free protocols now because of that. So one more thing you have to avoid, but Plant Paradox, that's a great book. Also, you can read to learn more about what foods you should be eating. Number two, I'm going to talk about is probiotic use. Okay, and we've heard a lot about probiotic, but there's so many out there, and it's really hard to know what to use, what's good, what's bad, how much. There's like 400 billion, there's 200 billion, there's 100 billion, there's 50 billion, 20 billion. What amount do you use? So here's what I recommend if you're someone you're not going through testing on seeing what your gut looks like, you just want somewhere to start. I would recommend doing a probiotic, and you can get the one that's actually from Garden of Life. Okay, Garden of Life, but it's a 400 billion. Okay, 400 billion probiotic, and it's just I think it's 4 or 5 days that you do this 400 billion worth of probiotics, and it's like a replenishing of the system. And then you follow it up with more like 100 billion. Now, if this is a child, I don't know if I quite do 400 billion, maybe half a scoop, which would be probably half of that. For 4 days, and then move into like a 50 billion. But if you're an adult, I'd say 400 billion, 100, and then move to 100 billion for about a month worth of probiotics. And Garden of Life is a great brand. There's a lot of good ones out there. And then the next thing I do is I would slowly shift into a 50 billion. Okay. And the reason I kind of bring it down is you want to bulk it up and then kind of get to more of a stable maintenance phase. And the reason you stay in a maintenance phase is simply because of the world we live in. It's really hard to get away from antibiotics. Yeah, I don't personally take antibiotics. I can't remember the last time I had any kind of medication at all. Actually, it was like 10 or 15 years ago. But at the same time, that the foods that we eat, if you eat at a restaurant, you're most likely going to have some antibiotics in your food, right? So it's going to be there. So you just want to always be giving your gut extra bacteria because there's so many antibiotics out there, right? And antibiotic use, the other thing I want to talk about before I move past this is I'm not just talking about antibiotics orally. You also have antibiotic soaps, the can wash stuff. When we talk about kids having yeast infections, one of the big reasons that can happen also is we're using baby wipes that have all this antibacterial stuff all over it. Then we put an antibacterial cream because we're so scared of something. I don't know. We're scared of this bacteria, I guess. I don't know. But if you think about it for a moment, you think about the microbiome of our world, right? Think about the planet Earth. Did you know that there's actually more viruses? There's more types of viruses than there are stars in the universe. I don't have all these numbers down, but this is like hundreds of millions of bacteria. There's so much different viruses, so many different funguses out there, and we're all called to live in symbiosis. It's actually there for our benefit. And to think that certain viruses, right? When we talk about vaccines, we have a certain amount of viruses that we are going to be bad ones, and a certain amount of bacteria that are bad bacteria. Well, the truth of the matter is we've created bacteria from all this antibacterial crazes, right? Bacteria is good for you. if for our child, I want bacteria. I mean, not extreme like botulism or anything like that, but I want bacteria in their environment. I want her to play in the dirt. I want her to get dirty. I'm not going to put antibiotic. We've never touched her with anything antibiotic or antibacterial soap or any of that stuff. Incredibly healthy. Never had any level of a health issue. One time she had a fever from teething. She got adjusted and her fever went away right then. And that simply is because we're helping her build a good microbiome. Good bacteria comes from breastfeeding. The mom's body knows what to produce. So a great thing also you can do along with probiotics for a child is if you don't produce breast milk anymore, maybe get someone that you know, maybe a friend will give you some of theirs. We actually used some of ours for my wife to give to a patient of ours. We weren't using it, so we gave it to her, and it cleared her daughter's eczema. Started feeding it to her daughter, started putting it on her skin. Powerful, some of the most powerful stuff on the planet is breast milk, right? So you can use breast milk as well. Point is a normal vaginal birth, not C-section, is how children build this microbiome within their gut. There's a lot of variables there, and I'm not going to get into the details because it's kind of gross, but that's how they build their microbiome. So if you haven't had that, replenishing it with a good probiotic and stop using all these hand sanitizers and everything else. It's crazy. If 90% of my immune system comes from bacteria, why do I want to kill it all, right? It doesn't make sense. It's like non-scientific. It all started really with I know I'm getting off track here and I'm kind of ranting, but it's stuff I think we need to know because they're paradigms with which we live in. I hope that makes sense, that the paradigm with which we live in is how we see. It's like the lens we see through. And so if we believe that bacteria are bad, or if we believe like the germ theory, and I say it's a germ theory because it is a theory and it was actually proven wrong, right? The germ theory was created by Louis Pasteur years ago. And so he said that germs are the cause of disease. Well, what they actually found out, there was two theories at the same time. There was the germ theory, and then there was another guy, and I can't think of his name, but he was saying that no, it's not the germs, it's the environment, right? And so if over time, Louis Pasteur actually shifted and said, you're right, it's not the germs, it's actually the environment or the medium, like they use petri dishes in the science world, but ultimately it's the medium with which it's in, meaning your body is the medium. If your microbiome is all out of whack, you're going to have an overgrowth, and these so-called germs are going to take over that system, and then you're going to get sick because you have a weak immune system and a poor microbiome within your body. I hope that makes sense because it's a paradigm shift. If you see through a lens of, I need these things, these are what's going to support me and make my immune system strong, then you're going to shift away from trying to kill it all, right? And you're going to shift away from quickly going to an antibiotic for something that typically is a viral issue anyways, like ear infections or sinus congestion. They show that 2% of the time that you have a sinus congestion issue, this is in the medical journals, 2% of the time that people have sinus congestion issue, that's actually bacterial. But if you go to your doctor with a sinus congestion or sinus inflammation, they're going to give you an antibiotic. It's just like the thing they throw out there, even though their own journals recommend against it. So, and I think like 90-something% of the time, ear infections are viral, not bacterial, but they're still the first protocol that they use. The pediatric journals actually go against that, but that doesn't mean that's what the doctor's prescribing. So this is really important stuff. So we got gut healing, the plant paradox book, the body ecology diet, probiotic use, and hey guys, quick break. I share this stuff, like it and love it, and if you could, send me some comments on this. I get a lot of messages, but you can put your comments down below too, because it just helps me understand what you want to hear about, what kind of things you're thinking. If anything I say, like, yeah, that doesn't make sense, or I heard something different, feel free to comment down below, and I'll try to clear that up for you. And hey, you know what? I've been wrong before too, so you might call me out and help me learn too. So feel free to leave the comments. I love that stuff. Number 3 is going to be... we're just going to say apple cider vinegar. I'm running out of space here. I'm going to erase this part. I think everybody gets that. So apple cider vinegar is really good. And you want the one with the mother thing still in it. You can get usually organic. And it comes in most of the health food stores have this. But you put a spoonful of apple cider vinegar in the morning and in the evening. Really good. You can do it actually right before you eat your food. Get a cup of water and drink that down, and that's really good for supporting your digestive system. If you're someone with acid reflux, this can be huge. It can be literally life-changing stuff. So, and then the other thing you could do, and this would be more under a doctor's supervision and them recommending it because of the certain issue you're dealing with, you could take HCl, hydrochloric acid, to help with your digestive system as well, because a lot of us are lacking in that area. But apple cider vinegar is really good. Then, and you can actually put that in the area as well for helping with any kind of yeast infection. Fermented foods is number 4. Okay? And fermented foods, there's so many out there. There's a reason this stuff is popular now. Kombucha, right? It was funny, I was drinking kombucha the other day, and my buddy, who does kind of like doesn't really understand all this stuff, he was like, "What is that?" I showed it to him, I said, "It's kombucha, this," and I was telling him about it. And he's like, and now he calls it kombuti, so that's our joke. It's like the kombuti, right? Anyway, so cool thing. So fermented foods are super popular right now, and it's only because of the fact that our immune systems are so weak, and all these antibiotic use, people are realizing that they need to replace it. So fermented foods can be very supportive of the good digestive system. Things like kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. As soon as I start naming off, I forget all of them. But any kind of fermented food, you have kefirs, yogurts, and be careful with this one. Be really careful with this concept of fermented food. The reason I say that is a lot of the yogurts on the market, even the kefirs, high in sugar. They're coming from a cow with a whey protein from this cow that's like super toxic. So you got to get high quality stuff. Remember, the key is quality. Read the ingredients. If there's words in there you don't know how to read them, then it's probably not good for you. You can Google them and see what they are, but don't just take it for face value, right? Any of the yogurts you see on TV, I'll tell you right now, are no good. But you can do like a coconut yogurt, coconut kefir. Again, be careful, because you can have a coconut yogurt on the shelf, but there's all kinds of bad ingredients in that still. So it is a little tough. You do have to become an expert in reading ingredients, but you know what? In the long run, it's a good thing. So fermented foods are great. Last one, and I hope you guys can see it on this low, but I'll tell you anyway. So the last one is just immune support, and that's a big thing to say there. So I'm just going to give you some simple tips on immune support. Things like I'm just going to write immune support here, and then I'll give you guys some tips. So things like vitamin D3 can be good. The key thing when you take vitamin D3 is you want to make sure you have K2, vitamin K2, and then also magnesium with that. Also, a good idea is we take a vitamin A supplement as well along with that. Supplement-wise, those are good, but I'm a big fan of getting food, using real food. Things like ginger, amazing for immune system and digestion. Things like garlic, getting full cloves of garlic, crushing them up, put them in a little bit of honey, put a little sea salt on there, and take it down. Doesn't sound amazing, but you actually, if you do it like that, and you crunch it up and just take it right away, you don't taste it that much because of the honey. I used to have people just chew up cloves of garlic until one day I saw this concept of put honey with it. And I was like, that's brilliant. So, but garlic daily. If you have yeast infections, you should be taking that stuff daily. You probably heard things like cranberry juice, really high quality, concentrated cranberry juice, and literally the stuff where you have to pour a little bit in water to be able to drink it. Super solid stuff. Things like lemon juice or eating a lot of lemons is really good for the acid within your stomach. Believe it or not, when you drink lemon juice, it helps alkalize yourself a little bit, and so it helps produce a lot of that stomach acid, but alkalizes the body. Really good for overall health. And so lots of lemons and limes. Citrus foods are going to be really good in these situations. Oranges, all those things are really, really good. Some other stuff I got here is bone broth. I couldn't forget that. So bone broth, and you can get it in a protein form, but I'd recommend just getting high quality bone broth. There's so many local vendors now. We have a couple patients in our office that make it. They make it out of fish, they make it out of chicken, they make it out of beef. Super healing for your gut and really good for your immune system. Gives you a lot of collagens that are good for your skin, your hair. Really healing stuff. So a bone broth protein could be, bone broth mix would be really good to give for your child as well. And if they don't want to drink it, maybe you mix it in a smoothie or something like that. But those were good. And then always on the big level when it comes to your immune system, green cruciferous vegetables have everything your body needs to create a good, strong immune system. And staying away from, if you watch some of the other videos, I shot a video a couple days back on, there's more nutrition based, but it was on ADD and ADHD, but the nutrition I talked about in that, about good healthy fats and bad fats, is huge, right? You could be doing everything right and you're using this salad dressing with vegetable oil that's inflaming your body and killing your immune system. So what you put in your body is huge. Another amazing thing for boosting the immune system is chiropractic care. They've actually proven that when you adjust their spine and keep your spine fully moving, because we sit all day, your immune system goes up. Yeah, so the CD4 count actually increases by 200% when you're getting a regular chiropractic care. That's what the studies have shown. So you have a much stronger immune system with regular chiropractic care. Wellness care for a good, healthy spine is going to be once a week or every other week. The research showed in the Spine Journal that less than every other week is really not the same thing. It's not the benefit you're looking for. But once a week or every other week on a long timeline, It's been proven to decrease pharmaceutical costs, increase quality of life, decrease colds and viruses, flus, things like that. And our patients that have been with us for 2 or 3, 4 years, some of them, I started practicing in 2010 here in Charlotte, and I've had patients that started in the clinic I bought in 2009, and they're still patients, and they never get sick. They never have colds. They don't deal with this. Kids don't have allergies and ear infections. It's a whole different paradigm. It's a different lens that they see health through, and that's what we want for everyone. So that's why I do these videos. So please share this stuff, help more people learn to see through a different paradigm. If you want to be on this kind of wellness mission with me to reach more people and help more people, best thing you can do is put a friend's name down below that you think could benefit from this, and hopefully it'll help them. And it might be because of yeast infections, but I'll tell you this, whether you have this or not, the world we live in today, because of the amount of antibiotics in our environment, I think this is a good protocol for anyone to follow. Like I'll tell you, I don't have any yeast issues or infections, but I follow this on a regular. I take apple cider vinegar almost daily. I eat fermented foods. I do all the immune support stuff I talked about. I really I'm getting closer to this plant paradox. This is a new thing I've learned, lately. But I used to do like a body ecology looking diet. Probiotics, every so often I'll do this 400 billion push and bring it down to 50 billion again. All the things I do on a regular basis, not to prevent a yeast infection, but to perform at a high level. You know, there's final thing I'm going to say here, sometimes I just talk too much, but final thing I want to say here, and I think this could be the most beneficial part of this video for you, is I really look at our health, or the way people see health, the paradigm or the lens through which they see health, through 3 different lenses. The first lens is going to be through more of a pain lens, or more of a symptomatic lens, meaning my back hurts, or I have acid reflux, I have a symptom, so I need to do something to get rid of that symptom, right? This would be the example if you have a fever, you take a Tylenol. When the fever goes away, you're healthy in your mind, right? That's the paradigm, that's the lens some people see their health through. That lens is the majority of America, and that's why we are where we are today. So if we stay in that lens of just getting rid of symptoms, even if it's a natural approach, we're going to end up like everyone else ended up still. The second way of seeing your health is going to be through a lens of prevention. And that's a step up. The prevention level is going to be saying, okay, I want to prevent any of these health issues that I'm seeing the rest of the world deal with, or maybe my family member had, maybe my dad had diabetes, and I don't want to have diabetes, or something like that. That's a prevention model. Or maybe you had back pain, you went to the chiropractor and your back pain went away, and so you continue to go every so often to make sure it doesn't come back. That's a prevention model, and that's better than a pain model. At the same time, though, prevention is still thinking about not letting something negative happen to you. And you're thinking about something negative, it's never a good thing. The final one, and the lens that I want to help all of you see through over time, is a performance level of health. Meaning everything you do, the things you put in your body, the reason you exercise and the type of exercise you do, the way you think, the meditation, the prayer, everything you do, getting chiropractic care, not sitting all day, stuff like that, is all, you're doing all of that because you want to perform at your highest level to your God-given potential so that you can reach the purpose and mission that God has for your life. And that's the performance level. And hey, even this is more of a spiritual way of looking at it. When you're praying, it's the same thing. You can pray to get rid of symptoms. You can pray to prevent symptoms, or you can pray to perform at a high level. So say, God, Lord, I want you to help me pray at the highest level, to perform at the highest level possible on this planet that you've called me to perform to. Not in an aspect of you have to perform to win God's love, but in a level of I want to perform because God has given that to me. A thankful, grateful way of looking at it, and knowing that you are well set to do that as long as you follow the right processes and look at it properly. So that's a paradigm shift I got for you guys. Look through a different lens. Hey, comment below if you made it this far in the video. Do me a favor and put look through a different lens, or paradigm shift, or I want to be a performer, or something cool like that, because I know I talk too long sometimes and not everybody makes it to the end. Okay, cool. So I'm done here. Hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that was helpful. There's a lot of other things you can do, and I'm not saying this is the only 5, but these are 5 simple things to start with, and then there could be more in-depth stuff down the line. You guys have an awesome day. Please like this, love, and share, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you.